My name is Chris. I'm with our technical support team, and I'm going to be giving you our web demonstration of our new web-based software. Now, before I go ahead and start the demo, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know the demos typically take anywhere between 20 to 25 minutes, and if anybody is on a phone with a muting option, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to please mute your option. Go ahead and mute your phones, so that way we have reduced feedback. If you have a question, feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and you can go ahead and ask away. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so let me talk about a couple things about our new web demo before we get started. With this being a new web demo, okay, that we are announcing our new software, there's a couple advantages I want to go ahead and talk to you about real quick. One of the main advantages to our software, okay, is there's two forms of hosting this software. The first is you can do a cloud service, okay? The second way is you can do a self-hosted, which you'll basically install it on your own server. Both softwares function the same exact way. Okay, the only difference is that you're managing the data on your side while we manage the data on our side. Okay, so some of the advantages with this new web-hosted software is that you're going to be able to access this software from any location. And this goes both for the web-hosted / cloud service or the self-hosted, as long as you allow the ports. Okay? So if your business is stationed in, let's say, New York, but you're actually going on a trip to Hong Kong, you're going to be able to access this software from that location as long as you have a web browser and a internet connection. Okay? Also, another advantage to our software is that should your business be a cross-platform environment, such as you have Macs, you have Linux, you have tablets, okay, you're going to be able to use this software as well with our web-based software. No longer are you restricted to running the software on a Windows-based operating system only. Okay, we can now use this on many other different devices. And then the other thing I want to go ahead and mention is because this is a web-hosted software, everything that happens between our time clocks and the software happens in real time. And let me give you a quick scenario of what real time is. An employee comes up to our time clock and they press their finger on the scanner and they're clocked in. Okay, the second they do that, the data is automatically sent to the software instantaneously. No longer do you need to run to the time clock itself and download information off a USB flash drive, or do you need to go to the software itself and download it. Okay, everything's going to be done instantaneously. So on your screen as of right now, you should see the Easy Clocking login screen. This is where your employees and your managers are going to be logging into the software. Each has its own different roles, and I'm going to go ahead and explain that once we go ahead and log in. We're going to log in as a manager, so that way you guys can have a visual on the full software. All right, so as you can see, this is our main dashboard. This is where your managers are going to be reviewing times as well as making modifications to times. Okay, so we have some pretty neat search filters and pretty powerful options here. So let's go ahead and go through some of them. The software is always going to default to what your pay period is. Okay, and that's one of the first things you're going to be setting up when you get the software. So you can choose your start period and you can choose your end period. All right, now for those of you who have a lot of employees, you're going to be able to sort your employees by departments. hours they're working outside of their schedule. So you're going to be able to actually approve the out-of-shift hours that they've worked, or you can simply leave it alone and the software will only pay for what you have them scheduled for. All right. To approve an out-of-shift, it's as simple as just clicking the exclamation logo, and you can go ahead and approve that out-of-shift time. Or if they have approval for the out-of-shift for the whole entire week, you can just do it down here on the shortcut, and you can go ahead and approve all the out-of-shifts. Now, the one thing you're going to notice with our software is not only can you see what time the employees are clocking in and clocking out, but you're also going to see the method of how they're clocking in and clocking out. With our software, there's several different ways of doing that. Our most popular is the biometric time clock. With a fingerprint scan, it'll clock your employees in, it'll clock them out. This method is the best because it actually prevents buddy punching. So that would be one of our main methods of clocking in and clocking out. Other ways of being able to clock in and out are proximity cards. You can use passwords. Depending on how your employees clock in and clock out, it's actually going to show you an icon for them. Okay, we have password-based clock-ins that they can go ahead and do from the time clock itself. They're also going to be able to clock in from a computer. Okay, when they log into their employee portal, you have the option of allowing them to clock in using their employee portal. And then our newest way that we're going to be able to allow employees to clock in, we have an application that is near completion. And if your employees have a GPS smartphone, such as an Android or an iPhone, once the app is released in the App Store, they're going to be able to download it, and they're going to be able to clock in and out using their cell phone. Not only will it tell you what time they've clocked in and out, but it's also going to show you the exact location of where that employee is clocking in and clocking out. So this is going to be a very useful feature for those of you who have employees working outside in the field. Next, we're going to talk about the Schedules tab. This is where you're going to be able to review your employee schedules. So when we select an employee, if there's a schedule already generated for them, it's going to go ahead and appear here. You can select multiple employees to view multiple schedules. Okay? As well as here we can create the actual schedule for the employees as well. You can do it for a single employee, you can do it for multiple employees, or you can do it for a department or your same filter options. All right. You can also view the absence type here as well. So if they're going to, if you either have a paid holiday or if you have an employee that's going to be on a vacation for a certain amount of days, it'll be displayed here. So if we want to create an employee for a, if we want to create a schedule for an employee, we're going to go ahead and select the employees. We're going to go to the top right where it says options. We're going to have four options here. You can either create or delete a schedule, or you can create an absence or delete an absence. For this example, we'll go ahead and create a schedule. And here you will have your employee list. You're going to go ahead and select a shift for the schedule. All right, and these are just a couple examples that we have on here. You're going to select a reoccurrence pattern, the days of the week, and then the start and the end date of the schedule. We're going to go ahead and hit create, and it's going to go ahead and generate the schedule for those employees. Next is add time. Should an employee forget to clock in, generating time is really easy in our software. All right, you're going to either select the employee or employees. All right, and I do apologize, GoToMeeting is a little bit on the slow side. I'm trying to dial myself down so it catches up. You're going to go ahead and select the time. You're going to select the date or dates. If your company uses job codes, you're going to be able to enter job codes on here. Okay, and then you're going to put the reason forgot to clock in. And when you hit create, it's going to go ahead and it's going to generate that time for those employees. And the one difference that you're going to see is when you select an employee, there's actually going to be a picture of a person, and when you actually hover over it, it's going to say edited or added by and then the manager name. So this will allow you to keep tabs of exactly who's made which edits or which adds to this time cards. Okay. Last little bit of information here on the time cards is you're going to notice here on the columns you can actually add more information, or you can actually, let's say, if you're not going to be using the schedule system, you can go ahead and remove out of shift so you can reduce unnecessary information on the time cards tab. Next is the pay time off. This will show you how many or how much benefit time in hours that your employee already has, as well as add them for the employee. If your company uses accrual rules, you're going to be able to create them here. You're going to go to the top right, okay, and let me give you a quick scenario. For your employees, is for every X amount of days that your employees work, they gain X amount of hours in vacation time. You're going to be able to define those rules here. All right. Next is the absence request. This is a really great feature here. Before I get into this, let me go ahead and talk about the employee portal really quick. With the employee portal, an employee is going to log in, and there's 3 things that they're going to be able to do. And let me go ahead and switch my view here to an employee so you guys can actually get a visual on it. All right. An employee is going to be able to view their hours, and you're going to notice that they do have the option of clocking in and clocking out. This is something that you can allow your employees to do. Okay, and they can even select a job code from here. All right, they're going to be able to view their schedules, and they're going to be able to view their benefit time. Not only are they going to be able to view their benefit time, but they're actually going to be able to request for time off directly on here from the software. So let's go ahead and say we want to request a couple days for vacation. We're going to go here to the left column, and we're going to select request absence. Okay, the reason for absence. You're going to enter the hours per day. And then finally, you're going to select the days of the week. When you hit create, it's going to go ahead and generate that time, and it's going to actually show up on all of your manager's tabs. So let me go ahead and switch back to a manager. So when your manager goes to check the absence request tabs, okay, the information is going to be displayed directly on here. No longer do your employees need to come up to you and ask for a request for time off form or ask you directly for time off. They're going to be able to do it electronically and on the software. The information that's going to be displayed here is the employee name, the absence type, hours requested, the days, and then finally the reason. So here it's going to be up to your manager's discretion whether they want to go ahead and approve the time off or if they want to go ahead and deny it. Okay, next is the Who's In tab. For those of you who are going to be using the scheduling system, this is going to be a great feature for you. What this is a live roster of all your employees that are scheduled for today. It's going to tell you what time they've clocked in. It's going to tell you what time they've clocked out. It's going to tell you what their scheduled time is, and it's even going to tell you if that employee's arrived late for the day or if they've left early. Okay, so again, this is a really nice feature for those of you who want to get a live update on your employees working today. Next is the Users tab. This is where you'll be creating users on the software. To create a user, you're going to go to the top right, and you're going to hit Create User. Okay, and you're going to notice that most of the things that you create in the software is going to take you through an easy step-by-step wizard. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill out the information, first name, last name, employee ID number. Okay, and then this is all information that we've already added on here, but you're going to be able to fill in these fields when you use your software. Okay, so we're going to enter location, department, employee type, and we're going to go ahead and hit next. Then it's going to ask you for the employee's pay information. How do you want to pay this employee? Do you want to pay him hourly, or do you want to give him a year's salary? If hourly, how much per hour? Or if it's yearly, how much per year? Okay? And then on the very bottom, you're going to notice, please select the pay class. You can create multiple pay class rules. Okay? And the pay class is actually going to define an employee's lunchtime rules, their break rules, and their overtime rules, which I'll get into towards the end. Next is the personal tab. This is information for an employee such as address, contact, phone number, email address, and emergency contact. Okay? There are companies out there that require additional information, so we added 2 fields as an example. Okay? We added Social Security and we added driver's license. You can add your own fields on here in the Settings tab, and there's going to be a tab called Custom Fields, and that's where you're going to be able to generate more fields on here if your company requires additional information from your employees. Next, we have clocking permissions. This is where you'll be able to assign your employee to a specific time clock. You don't need to create an employee both on the software and the actual time clock anymore. This software will automatically send the employee to the software once you've selected it. Let me give you a quick example. These are all of our time clocks that we have here. We have about 4 pages of time clocks. Okay? So let's say we want this employee to have access to this time clock and this time clock. Once we hit save, that employee can now use those time clocks to clock in. The only thing he needs to do is just register his fingerprints at the time clock, and he is good to go for clocking in and clocking out. Or let's say we just want him to have access to all the time clocks. You're going to hit the second arrow, and it's going to go ahead and bring over all the time clocks. Okay, so this is actually a very useful feature if you want to restrict some time clocks from employees being able to clock in from certain time clocks. The same can be done for clocking in by PCs. You can restrict it to a certain network or to a specific MAC address as well. Next is the biometric data. This will allow you to see how many fingerprints an employee already has enrolled. Okay, not only can you see how many fingerprints they have enrolled, but you can actually enroll employees' fingerprints directly from this page on the software, provided that you have a biometric fingerprint USB scanner, which we do sell separately. Very useful for HR departments when they're enrolling employees. Okay, you can do it directly here from the software. Then we have a benefit time shortcut, a schedule shortcut, and then we have our access level tab. Access level is where you'll be able to create the employee so that they can log into the software and access their employee portal. Okay. Job codes. This is a very important feature for those of you who are using this. Job code basically determines if a job pays at a specific rate. Okay. Here you'll be able to assign that job code to that employee. Okay. Each job code already has a rate when you create it. What's nice about our software is that you can specifically assign an employee a job code, okay, and you have 3 options here. You can go ahead and pay what the job rate normally pays. You have a user rate, which means the employee will get paid based on what they normally get paid. Or you have a specified rate, and you can actually go ahead and manually enter a time for the employee. All right, no longer do you have to create job code 1, job code 2, job code 3. You can have one job code for multiple employees, and you can specify the rate for each of them. All right, and then here we have the Messages tab. This will allow you to send a message directly to an employee using the time clock. So let me give you a quick scenario here. We have an employee that's going to come in 2 hours, but before he starts his day, we need him to come to the office to sign some paperwork. So we're going to select the employee. We're going to type in the message. All right. You're going to type in the amount of times that you want the message to be displayed, and you're going to hit save. So when that employee clocks in, he's going to get that pop-up window on his screen, and he's going to know that he needs to go to the office before he does anything further for the day. We at Easy Clocking, we like doing that sort of stuff on an employee's birthday. We'll put up a nice birthday message. Next is the Reports tab. In the Reports tab, you'll be able to generate different type of reports so that you may print them or you may export them to an Excel file or to a PDF file. Okay? Now, let me give you a couple examples of report types that you can go ahead and print. When you select on the report type, we have detailed, summary, hours only, we have weekly. Okay? Then we have other tabs here, such as we have jobs. So you can print report types based on job, detailed, summary, weekly. You can print out schedules, or we can go ahead and do miscellaneous. For example, absence reports, tardy reports, and missing punches reports. All right, so for this example, we're going to go ahead and create a detailed report. We're going to go ahead and select the start and the end period. All right, and we're going to select the employees. And we're going to go ahead and select View. All right, so this is what a detailed report is going to look like. It's going to basically give you a printable version of your time card so that you can have this information if you need to hand it over to your HR department, or it can be emailed directly from here as well. All right, it's going to give you your time in, your time out, total hours, etc. The only difference between your time card and ours is that your company logo will be replacing ours, so it'll look extremely professional. All right, if you go to the top right, you're going to have your options here, okay? You have these options on the top, and then here you're going to have export options. You can go ahead and export it as a PDF or as an Excel. Next, we have the actual export tab itself, okay? There's a lot of companies that process payroll using different software such as ADP, Paychex, QuickBooks, etc., okay? We're going to allow you to export your time card into a readable file so that within your software you can actually import your time card information. For example, QuickBooks, if you export, the software is going to create an IIF file so that within QuickBooks you can go ahead and import the information that you need. Okay? We will also allow you to export as a CSV file as well in our software. Next is the Data Collection tab. This will allow you to view and monitor all your time clocks throughout your locations. Okay? You have your time clock name, you have the serial number, and the online status. Red is offline, green is online. Now the one thing I like mentioning about our time clocks, should you have a network outage, okay, internet stops working, there's no network connectivity, these time clocks will still continue to function even though there is no internet. What's going to happen is employees will continue to clock in and clock out, and once the internet is restored, whatever information the clock was holding on its internal memory, it's going to go ahead and push it to the software as if nothing happened. So these clocks are capable of being standalone units if needed. Should you run into a scenario where the network is going to be down for a while and you need to process payroll right away, we do give you the option of going to the time clock with a USB flash drive, manually downloading the information, and you can come here to the tab that says USB upload, and you can manually download the information to the software that way. All right. Next, we have a messages shortcut, and then finally we have our settings tab. When starting the software for the first time, you'll be spending your first couple moments here. All right. This is our general tab. This is for information such as company name, your telephone format, how do you want the names to be displayed in the software, also as well as uploading your company logo. Then you have other general settings such as your pay settings. What is your pay period frequency? Do you want to go ahead and use schedules, etc. Next is the pay class. Pay class are rules that you can basically create for different employees. Let's go ahead and create one. Okay, pay class are basically what's going to define your rules for the employee. So let's go ahead and type in a name. It's going to ask you what is the maximum continuous hours the employees in this group that will work. Okay, and then do the employees work past midnight? Okay, next is asking you overtime. Do you want to go ahead and pay overtime? If yes, how do you want to pay overtime? Is it after 8 hours in a day or after 40 hours in a week? If you want to do both, you can go ahead and select both. Should you want to pay double time, we have the option to have double time in for your employees as well. And then finally, deduct lunches and breaks. Do you want to deduct lunch? Yes. Here it's going to go ahead and ask you how many minutes do you want to go ahead and deduct, and then after how many hours do they have to work before it is deducted. Next is the shifts tab. This is basically where you'll be creating your shifts for your schedules. All right. Then you have departments. You have absence types. Again, I'm just waiting for GoToMeeting to catch up. All right, and then we have job codes. This is where you'll be creating your physical job codes so that the employee can clock in with that job code and be paid at that rate. So to create a job code, we're going to go here to the top right where it says create job code. You're going to put the job code number. That's the number they're going to punch in the time clock. All right, the job code name, and then the rate that it pays. And you're going to go ahead and hit create. Next is custom fields. Okay, again, this goes back to the users under the personal tab. If you need more fields to generate, this is where you can do that. Then you have positions, you have contractors, locations, again, bear with me. And then we have privileges and administrators. Okay, so this is the final segment of our demonstration. This is where you'll be able to give specific access to your managers. Okay, so let's say we have a scenario. We're going to create a manager, but we don't want them to have full access to the software. We want them to have the dashboard, users, and reports, but we don't want them to have export data collection or the settings tab. Okay, this is where the privilege group rule comes in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a privilege group rule. All right, and we're going to go ahead and put the group name, the group description, and then these are the boxes that we're going to go ahead and check off so that the manager has, or the managers that are assigned to this privilege group have access to. So we want them to have the dashboard. We don't want them to have data collection, so we will leave that one unchecked. We want them to have access to employee, but we don't want them to have access to export nor settings. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit create, and once created, it's going to go ahead and appear on the left side column. Now here in the administrators, this is where you'll be creating the actual login name for your managers. Okay, once created, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put in an email address for them if you want them to have access to the employee portal. Okay, their login, their password, and then here's the big question. Do you want to assign this user full privileges? If not, you're going to select no, and then we're going to go ahead and assign them a privilege level. All right, so we created number 4, so we're going to select 4, and now they're only going to have access to those tabs that we assigned. Now we're going to assign them a location that they have access to, as well as departments. So now this manager, when we hit save, only has access to what we've granted them to have access to. So to wrap things up, you have full control as to what content your managers can access within the software. Okay, we kept 2 things in mind here. We wanted this software to be easy to navigate, easy to use, but powerful and intuitive at the same time. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody. Does anybody have any questions regarding our new web-based software?